Greetings to all distinguished guests, and my thanks to the Ukrainian-Canadian Congress, especially Stefania Romaniuk for her dedication to Calgary, to Canada, and the Ukrainian people. A warm welcome to my caucus colleagues. I've only been here for a few minutes. I'm surrounded by giants who stand alongside Ukraine, McLean, Tom Kmiec, and the chair of our Calgary caucus, Pat Kelly. I'm so grateful to be one among many standing with you. We also honor the memory of Kyle Porter, a Calgarian killed in action near Bakhmut last year. I'm here today on behalf of the Conservative Party of Canada and the leader of His Majesty's official opposition, Pierre Poilievre. While he couldn't be here, he asked us to share this message on his behalf. On behalf of Canada's Common Sense Conservatives, it's an honor to send greetings to the Ukrainian-Canadian Congress and everyone gathered to mark this solemn anniversary. 3 years ago, the Russian Federation began its unjustified, full-scale invasion of Ukraine. In the days that followed, the whole world would see the horrors that were visited on peaceful Ukrainian cities and the suffering of countless families driven from their homes. Since then, we have also witnessed the incredible bravery and resilience of the Ukrainian people, whether in the Ukrainian armed forces, as civilian volunteers, or ordinary citizens who refuse to surrender their dignity. I am proud that it was a Canadian government under Prime Minister Stephen Harper that led the charge to exclude the Russian Federation from the G8. I firmly believe that they cannot be allowed to return and that no negotiations about Ukraine should happen without Ukraine. As you gather to honor those innocent Ukrainians who have been killed, injured, kidnapped, and displaced, know that Common Sense Conservatives stand in solidarity with you. If I might, a few reflections. Over a decade ago, I walked through the Euromaidan in Kiev. On its cobbled streets, thousands were celebrating their self-determination over Kremlin domination. They were jubilant, humorous, self-confident. This was a moment, a culmination of years of struggle, from surviving Stalin's famine to enduring the subversion of their freedoms. Since then, I've had the honor of going to Ukraine several times, before Maidan, during Maidan, after Maidan, a few years later, and as recently as last October, as part of a multi-party delegation to stand in solidarity with the people of Ukraine. Yet today we stand here to mark the 3rd anniversary of Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine. 3 years of horrific war and indiscriminate terror on the Ukrainian people. 3 years of displaced children and bombed out towns and cities. 3 years of Russian aggression on the streets of Ukraine and through misinformation campaigns across the world. Yet despite this, Ukrainians at home and abroad, here in Canada, stand with strength. Day in, day out, they fight for freedom over fear against a neo-imperial tyranny. Their message is clear. We must replace dictator domination with Canadian energy. We must strengthen Canadian defense production. And we must promote policies of peace through strength instead of entreaties of appeasement. As our town squares burn, mobs threaten individual dignity and freedom. And as along the front, where hundreds of thousands of drones hover over 100-kilometer front of forces fighting fiercely for the modern age over medieval tyranny, it is time for leaders with conviction to unlock the economic and military strength required in this generation's greatest test. 2 years ago, in a report from the bombardment of Kharkiv, an elderly woman stood in the rubble of her apartment. She interrupted her neighbor in the middle of an interview, surveying the damage inflicted by Russia's indiscriminate attacks. She shared 3 words: hope dies last. If we are to live up to our potential as a country, then we will heed her wisdom that without hope we have nothing. It is time to replace a government unwilling to do what Canada must. It is time to replace it with one that delivers upon the strengths of our nation to a world eagerly awaiting them, one that restores the promise of Canada to alliances broken so badly. Amid the gathering darkness, hope dies last. We choose freedom over fear. We will never give in. We will never back down. We will never surrender to those that would break us. And we will restore the promise of Canada for you. Slava Ukraini.